Ready?
Let's go. I'm ready to mumble.
Let's do it. Welcome to the Sports Wrap. He's George. I'm Merely Ringer. Welcome to the wrap here on November 19th.
Yeah.
Things are sliding along very quickly, George.
They are. And
pretty soon we're going to be going ho, 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 and then, yeah.
Well, and this is, when you take a look at the latter part of November and December and the first part of January, sports are just about as thick as fleas. They're all the championships, all the incredible bowl games. It's there's a lot going on.
Yeah, so with everything except really baseball, and baseball was making a splash this week with free agent signings and MVPs and everything else. Where do you want to start today?
Well, why don't we start right off with baseball, because
he is good. I can see, because here it is, right? Whoops, right at the top of the piece of paper. His favorite baseball player. Well, his favorite baseball player.
Yeah.
Wyatt Ulrich would be his first.
Yes.
And his second would be Shohei Ohtani. Who was the unanimous MVP of the American League.
They had one guy that he says playing baseball with him is like playing in the Little League, where they have one guy that can do everything. And here it is. I mean, he'll throw you 7 innings of shutout baseball and plop a home run or two, and then run around. I mean, they even put him in right field so they can use him as a designated hitter.
Yeah, I think the thing about Shohei, and I know you do the whole plethora.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like he did a whole season. He played 120 games and then fell off the face of the earth, at least as a hitter.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's easy for me to complain because I get not paid to do that right now. But to me, if you look at what Vladimir Guerrero Jr. did over the breadth of the season, where he was hot the whole season, not just the first 120 games, for it to be unanimous was
unanimous.
Yes, I understand he pitched. I get it. But
so get this.
One guy should have disagreed.
A $30,000 bet in Las Vegas that he would have got MVP this year would net you $900,000. That's on the $30,000 bet, $900,000. Sure. Somebody did that. And so they're talking about...
Lucky guy. Not lucky, maybe. He wouldn't say he was lucky. He would say, I know what the heck I'm talking about.
I know what the heck I'm talking about, and pulled it off. But yeah, you could start right off with that. And Bryce from National League, I mean, he hits an awful lot of home runs. Was this his second time in a row?
Second, he won it in 2015 was the last time he won it.
Oh, okay.
The last time he won it, he was unanimous. I'm not a big Bryce Harper fan because of his attitude, let's just say, his whatever. So that makes him fit right in with Philadelphia.
Yeah,
he says he loves it. He says he loves it in Philadelphia.
He
absolutely loves it. And I'm like, well, a prick for a prick city. That's how that works.
Well,
so,
I mean, but just say,
Darcy, if you got to cut that out, go ahead,
Darcy. All you have to do is say one thing. He can hit the tater.
He can hit the tater. He does.
So he gets to hit the tater. And
I can't disagree with that.
Anyway, so much for baseball, but there's trading going on. There's things that are going to be flopping around here in the next 2 weeks.
Can I ask you one question before we leave baseball?
Yeah.
Before he was named the American League Cy Young, what do you know about Robbie Ray? I think that's his name. He was the AL Cy Young Award winner. His record was 13-7.
Well, how did that happen?
His ERA was 2.84. Okay. But his record was 13-7, and he's the Cy Young Award winner? What? Huh?
Yeah.
You know who was third? Did you see who was third?
No.
Folks, sports never should cease to amaze me. You remember Lance Lynn?
I do.
Yeah, who used to pitch for the Twins, and we had to get rid of him because he couldn't do Jack Doodley?
He couldn't get across.
He was third in the Cy Young Award voting this year. Third.
I don't even know where's he at.
With the White Sox.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Well, actually, I watched him pitch a couple times.
You probably watched him pitch a couple of times.
Yeah.
Oh, nice shot by John Schuster. We got the U.S. curling trials on. Schuster, that's a good shot right there. Now we'll see what happens from here. So, are we done with baseball?
We're done with baseball. We can go on.
There's some free agent signings. The Twins, on my way out here, my phone buzzed. I picked it up when I got here, safe driving, right? and the Twins have designated Willens Astudillo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, designated for assignment. So that means he's not on the 40-man roster at the start of spring training. He could be no longer with the Twins. We'll see
too
what
bad.
happens. I know he's a favorite, the Turtle.
Oh, I love the Turtle.
So, anyway.
And every time he comes back and comes in mid-season, he's hot as can be, and he's swatting all over and does all kinds of neat things, and he's a fan favorite.
He's a fan favorite. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
The Twins signed a bunch of pitchers today to fill back up their roster and designated some people and cut some people and put Garlick to AAA and other things. And I just, like I said, quick glanced at it before I came in to the fabulous Rainier Muni here in downtown Rainier. And so let's move on to basketball.
We can.
Yeah, you want to talk college or pro first?
Well, I tell you what, if you want to go to pro, I watched a bit of a basketball game the other night, and
which one did you watch?
The ones against I can't remember who.
San Antonio and Sacramento for the Wolves the last 2 nights.
Oh yeah, but Sacramento, they played real well, and they're playing defense and scoring.
Did you see what they did last night against San Antonio? They shot in a 48-minute game. They shot 49 three-pointers. 49.
That's a lot.
And the best part about it was they made 21 of them.
Well, they were able to shoot a little bit.
That's over 40% from three-point line.
Yeah.
That's like shooting 60 from the two-point line. That's what the math teachers always taught me. So, man, if they could make 15 a game, I'd be that. Wow,
are you seeing a team that potentially is gelling into this contender?
I hate to say anything positive because that means that I will jinx them and they will start to play poorly again. But there are too many good players on this team for this team to continuously have bad nights.
I think so.
They lost 6 in a row, and I don't know if I said this on this show or if I said it on the radio because they all become one and the same. I'm watching this last shot of curling. Oh, Johnny Schuster, that's pretty good right there. For a deuce, that's what you need? No, only got one. Okay, so anyway, they were talking, Carl Anthony Towns was talking, that they had lost 3 in a row, and he said, we've got to start righting the ship because he says, I know that this can go to like 18, 19 games in a row that you lose. And it got to 6, and I'm like, here we go. They're going to get to... No, they got too many good players. D'Angelo Russell, as much as he'll drive you crazy sometimes, is a very good player. Carl Anthony Towns is a very good player. Anthony Edwards is going to be an all-star someday in my mind. He's got too much potential, too much scoring ability. Still disappears as a second-year player.
I'm going to tell you, he's young. I mean, I don't want to bring this into it, but Eric Curry is 3 years older than he is.
Yeah.
So this is how young he is.
For the Gophers.
And playing for the Gophers. Yeah. So
he's going to have nights like that. Mama said there'd be days like these, and I said at the start of the season they would be over 500. I'm still going to hold to that, even though they had that bad stretch. There's a lot of bad teams on the NBA, and unfortunately, the Wolves lost to Orlando, which is one of them, and they lost one to New Orleans, who was the second worst team in the NBA. So the Wolves have shown that they still can play putrid basketball at times, but the last 2 nights they've held their opponents. In the last 5 games, 4 of them they've held them to under 100 points.
That's right. And the same way with New Orleans. I mean, they lost the first one, but they came back a few days later and won a second. So they might be in the process of learning. I do know when you watch them run up and down the court, they can really run. Yeah. This is a moving team, and a shooting team, no doubt about it.
Talk about shooters. How about Steph Curry? He's out of his mind.
He scored 20 points in fourth quarter. He outscored the other team 20-8, all by himself.
He made 9 threes last night.
9 threes.
Had 40 points, I think 37, 40 points, whatever it was. And Golden State is 12-2, I think, or 13-2 now. And they're going to get Klay Thompson back real shortly.
Yeah, that's a very good
and it's all of a sudden you're going to be going, who's going to take them down? Well, I understand the Lakers have this big 3 they talk about.
Yeah.
Of course, one of them's injured because he's too old.
You are.
Anyway, I said that about Tom Brady 2 months ago too. Look what that dink proved me wrong. Anyway, I'm happy watching the Wolves. I'm happy for the Wolves. I got to listen to a little bit of the fourth quarter on the way home. In between that and the Wild, they were just a couple stations apart on XM as I'm going through cell phone HE double toothpicks on my way back from Silver Bay. You know, you get out there in the middle and there is no cell service. You get out there, you could die and nobody'd ever. Anyway, so of course all I had to do was switch between hockey and basketball and football. Tough break, huh? It was a nice ride home. Despite the fact that the Broncos lost 11-0, and they played their hearts. Everybody's probably sitting at home when I said that on listening to the game last night, or I said it on the sports this morning, and the girls lost 11-0. They're like, they laid it out on the line, folks. I'm sorry. It just, you might say, how do you make an 11-0 game fun? I enjoyed the heck out of it. I really did. It was, they were getting better as the game played. They laid their guts out on the line, and that's all you can ever ask.
That's all you can ask of them. Yeah.
So it was fun. Let's talk college basketball.
Let's talk.
Okay. Did you talk to the guru lately?
I talked to the guru,
and he says that
there's no way that Eric Curry is 6'9", and then he told me, told me they all lie. But then we expounded upon that, and I says we were talking last spring about how the Big Ten has all these great big humongous centers, and they're getting beat by guys that can run the court, leaner, more athletic. And he says you have to consider this, that maybe the Big Ten is not as good a league as they think they are. And the Big East came over and slapped them all up this weekend. Seton Hall won,
number 4, I think 4 Michigan.
4 Michigan, and so Big Ten's been getting hammered, and these other smaller teams come in and are able to do the job. And this all started by whether or not we needed a 7-foot center. I think the Gophers, well, for one, they really lucked out getting Eric Curry to come out and play. He was there looking around for a teaching assistant job, a coaching assistant, and they said, hey, we've got a better idea. And they put him on, and he's averaging 9 points a game. He's getting good rebounds. He's playing solid defense, and he is not that big. He looks small out there against some of the rest of these centers, especially one that's 7'5". That was, So you see this thing, but it's like Patrick Russi says, they're 3-0. What's the matter with that? And so we'll see what happens tonight and whether or not they can get.
Yeah, they play Purdue,
Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne, thank you, Purdue, Fort Wayne. Obviously things are going to get tougher. I hope that people don't start, making their, buying their tickets to the Final Four thinking the Gophers are going to be there. But having said that, I think if a lot of people would have told you or said that the Gophers were going to be 4-0 after 4 games, which they could be, I believe, after tonight's game, I think they probably would have said no.
Yeah, and I probably would have been one to say this. But, there's some problems there. Number one, they have a 7-man rotation, and when the going gets tough, the tough sometimes have to sit down. And so,
the guy on ESPN made that overly obvious, I thought, on Sunday with a little bit of the game that I watched. That, the Gophers are okay through 7, but what's going to happen after that? Well, I'm sorry, a lot of teams out there are going to get a little thin after 7.
They are. And there's a lot of teams with 7- and 8-man rotations. Plus the fact they might get Mr. Fox back.
Yeah.
With Parker Fox from Northern. And, there's a reason that he's the golden son from Sioux Falls. And so he's 6'8", he's a forward, and he's a shooter, and he's a team leader and all the rest of that. And they're hoping for him to get him back sometime in January even. So that would give him an 8-man rotation, which in many instances, that's all you ever get. But they're playing. The other thing is, Ben Johnson seems to have these kids playing defense, and it fell apart for a while when can't remember it was a Western Kentucky caught up to him. But the fact of it is
that happens in basketball.
That happens in basketball. But you know, I think they're playing.
Matter of fact, I think it's a prerequisite in basketball that you lose a big lead at some point to let the other team back in. I don't know, maybe it's an unwritten rule, like in baseball, that you can't steal with a 5-run lead, or you can't do this. It's all unwritten, but you can't do it. But that seems like an unwritten in basketball is you have to let the team back in, so that you can make it exciting for whatever reason.
Well, and then, you know, we have here, you've got Jameson Battle. He's averaging 20 points. Peyton Willis is averaging 20 points. A.J. Stevens is knocking down 12, and Eric Curry is 8.7. So these guys, they're getting some well-rounded scoring from some people. So, you know, I don't think that this is necessarily a bad team. And it's.
I will still say that they'll end up maybe with 4, 5, maybe Big Ten wins. I think that's that's a legitimate number. Let's not get nuts. So you might remember last year, I think we were 11-1 at one point, or 2 years ago, whatever it was, and we ended up pooping the bed. So
they kind of fell asleep. But just to remind you, Illinois lost to Marquette, Michigan to Seton Hall, Maryland lost to George Mason, and Ohio State lost to Xavier. This is a description of the Big Ten right now, and whether or not it holds true, it's hard to say. Now, I understand Michigan's getting a couple of their players back, and there's some injuries already, but we'll see what happens. I just think it's a whole lot more optimistic than what we had a month ago.
It's much more fun when they win a few games.
Yes.
I just hope we're not suicidal in mid-February.
No, I'm not going to. Never be. It's only a game.
You know what Gopher team I'm more excited for?
What's that?
I'm more excited for the Gopher women's basketball.
You
know who they get tomorrow? You know who they get on Saturday? Probably after most of you watch this. They get UConn. You know how badly they're going to get whooped? But I'm excited for it just because, hey, they get to go out and play the best. They don't always get to do that. You don't always get to play the South Carolinas, the UConns, those teams. So the fact that the Gophers got to go to the Bahamas, the women, and play, hey, I'm going to say that the final score, just rough estimate, I'm going to go 91-50. They're going to lose.
Well, that might be.
But like I said, I'm not more excited about the Gophers having a chance to play Paige Beckers and see if they can put some smack down on her, play a little physical with her, get inside her brain. Don't injure her. Don't do that. But have some, make her think a little bit.
Well, no, I'm very optimistic about women's basketball. I think that they're going to have a fairly good team this year, and then they're going to start getting some of these recruits. I mean, Lindsay Whalen, I think, has that magic stuff. There's a charisma there, and if she can keep it going.
Don't judge me, people, but I gotta get this off my chest, and that's what this show's all about, getting it off Tim's chest.
Yeah.
But her sound bites that the Learfield puts on for the radio, I don't know if they purposely pick the bad ones or whatever, but she never says anything of substance. There's nothing ever that she says.
Well, she's from Hutchison.
It is pure coach speak. It's just like, could you say something like mildly exciting, maybe a little controversial, maybe say Paige Beckers blows in the wind or something. I don't know. Say something, but she just, no, and it's just, Lindsay, make it a little more exciting. No, I whatever, but yeah, the cuts just, like I said, they seem to they must be cutting out the good stuff. Maybe the bad stuff's ending in and the good stuff's ending on, I don't know, but anyway.
Well, I think since the last time we talked, I watched Duke kind of eradicate Kentucky, and I took a look at Duke, and they seem to, of course, it's hard to say at the beginning of the year like that, but I mean, when you're playing Kentucky, that's no D3 school you're playing.
I've grown tired of the Mike Krzyzewski farewell tour already. I don't want to hear any more about it. And of course, his grandson unfortunately had a little incident, and there's going to be some repercussions for that. I hope everybody involved has a good outcome, but a little bad news there, and that's going to affect things going forward for Duke and everything else.
It's amazing how small little scandals like that, and as it goes, it's not a big one. But this is Ceausescu's grandson, and it becomes huge. And it's, good, bad, or indifferent, that's just kind of the way it is. People notice.
People notice.
Yeah.
Just the way that it is, that's
Yes.
for sure. So, anything basketball-wise that we need to address before we move along to the H word?
No, the H word, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I was saving wrestling till last, but that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I'm looking forward to watching tonight's game, and I think every time you get a chance to see the Gophers, something else will come out at either what they can do or what they can't do, what their limitations are. But
We better hustle up if we're going to get to watch that game, because doesn't it start at 6 o'clock or is it 7?
I got it.
You got it on DVR.
Oh,
so
I record that stuff. Yeah.
I got no. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to hockey.
Let's do that.
You want to talk? You want to talk Wild?
Let's talk Wild, and then the other they were wild.
This team is. You're going to have. Mama said there'd be days like this. Second time in the show already. They didn't play very well the other night against San Jose.
No.
I don't know what it is. If somebody can figure this out, when San Jose plays at the X, it's like the Wild are like they play like they got their tail between their legs and they're scared. I don't know what it is. Is it Brent Burns? What is it? That shark that's on their jersey biting the stick in half? The Wild players are scared. I don't know what it is. But when San Jose plays at the X, whatever money. You were telling me about $30,000 on Shohei Ohtani. That guy should take $30,000 and put it on the Sharks the next time they come to the X, because whatever the line is, just take the Sharks. But last night I was listening to the game, and it was 2-0, and we made it 3-0, and Dallas scores one, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go, and then we scored right away. Then we scored another, and then here comes Dallas, and we scored two. And it was just like we responded. And Dean Evison, said after the game, that's pretty good stuff.
7 different scores.
7 different scores.
And although Kaprizov, I think, just watching him scoot around, he just adds energy to that furnace, and it's amazing.
Somebody was telling me, I think Dwayne was telling me about his behind the back assist. I haven't seen it yet. Haven't had time to look it up, but he said it was pretty impressive.
It really was.
So
really, and he's going to the bench with that smile on his face. I mean, we had people like that around here. Huffer Christensen had a smile on his face every time he had the puck. These guys really enjoy this game, and they know when it's going well.
And the Wild will have their hands full this weekend.
They will.
They go take on Florida, who is 12-2-3, I think. 12-3-3, something like that. I think they played 17 or 18 games. One of the best teams in the NHL on Saturday. Then they got to go play the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champs on Sunday. So back-to-back in Florida. And if the Wild come out of there with 1 win and a lot,
so what are they 10-4 now?
11-4? 5, I think.
11-5.
So, and thanks to Edmonton last night, the Wild are still in the lead in the Central, because Winnipeg only picked up a point in the shootout. I was listening to the end of that game. That was also pretty fun. Of course, most sports is fun to listen to, but
it is.
Get to use your imagination. If you get a chance to listen to the Edmonton play-by-play guy, fun. He does a really, really nice job. Last week I was telling you about the color guy for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now I'm an advocate for the Edmonton Oilers play-by-play guy. Did a nice job, and so we'll see how things go.
Hey, there's some great guys calling plays out there and calling games. I mean, I could sit down and listen to them. They got great voices. They've got their cliches down. You got to have cliches, and so after you get that and you got a good voice, enjoy the game you're in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything else professional hockey-wise you want to talk about? I have to mention, this is a part of my job now, but Leon Draisaitl. You guys ever heard of Leon Draisaitl? He apparently plays for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
And of course, when you got Connor McDavid on your team, you kind of go unnoticed. It just happens, you're the greatest. You play with the greatest player in the world, and you have a tendency to get whatever. But Leon Draisaitl, he's had multiple points in 7 before last night, 7 out of his last 8 or 9 games. He's been incredible. He's been on a run. He's leading the league in points. It's amazing. So Leon Draisaitl, look him up. He's been playing very well. Just a little name drop.
That's a good one. I like that.
Anyway, I want to talk a little college hockey if we can.
I figured that would come across.
Of course, the Bulldogs. I know that's where he wants me to start, so I'll start
does.
there. How about Ryan Fanti? If you don't know who Ryan Fanti is, you're gonna probably have to learn, because the Bulldogs have themselves another goaltender.
They do.
They had Hunter Shepard and all these other guys. Right now, Ryan Fanti has 3 consecutive shutouts. Of course, he's got his hands a little fuller tonight against North Dakota, against the Fighting Hawks.
Is that in Grand Forks?
That is over in Grand Forks this week. So, but anyway, not only does he have 3 straight shutouts, but he got a shutout into overtime, and then he shut Colorado College out in the shootout at the end of the game. So he was pretty dialed in last week on Saturday night, and the Dogs remain in the lead, number 1 in the pairwise, I believe. So hopefully this week against North Dakota on the road, I'd take a split. I would love a sweep, but I'll take a split with the Fighting Hawks on the road at Ralph Engel. Yeah.
Well, last year during the tournament, when we had the 4 Minnesota schools in it, every one of them had a substantial goaltender. And I mean, you know,
Keep going.
And that's what kept them in the game, and you know, and beat those big schools. I mean, Bemidji beat Wisconsin. They beat Wisconsin. Well, the goaltending wasn't bad. You know.
I was looking at Twitter before I came out, and they were talking about Mankato State. Mankato State plays Ohio State tonight, I believe it is.
I believe so.
In a inter-conference game series. Mankato's having a little problems keeping goaltenders. They got 1 goaltender on the roster dressed tonight, and he's a tennis player.
A tennis player.
Came off their tennis team. They found out that he played a little goalie, and he is in the pipes tonight. I don't know.
Well, a lot of times you could play hockey with tennis balls. Maybe they'd work something like that out instead. Maybe they do that.
Make them feel a little bit more at home or something. Yeah,
I think that'd work.
The Gophers, they get Penn State this weekend. The Gophers should get a couple of wins, I would think. I'm just watching this curling shot. Oh, that's not. So
These guys are good.
Those guys are good. So anyway, they should take care of the Nittany Lions. A couple of wins this weekend for the Gophers, I would expect, and we'll see. Nothing else really big on the college hockey scene this weekend. I don't want to take down any of your favorite teams out there, but as far as big series, UND is. That's it. That's the big one. That's the bomb game.
It is.
So, all right, you ready to talk about the F word?
Yes.
Let's talk football.
You know, right now, New England is getting all the praise. They've won 5 in a row, and Coach Belichick is.
They've scored 70 unanswered points.
70 unanswered points.
Not too shabby.
No. They got this kid named Mac Jones that's just throwing all over the place, and a defense that's just crushing people.
Yeah, and let's take this with a slight grain of salt. Cleveland is not playing their best football right now. They've had injuries with their running backs and Baker Mayfield. And you people know how I feel about Baker. Injured last week. Having said that, that's your starting quarterback. So Cleveland, tough week last week, and then Atlanta is just abysmal. Atlanta is not a good football team, and New England put a hurt on them, 25-0, I think, if I remember right, the final. And I'm not saying that New England isn't. I'm singing their praises. They're playing good football, but let's bring in Tennessee or somebody, and we'll see. We'll see if they can answer the bell.
Well, and then speaking of Tennessee, they think they might be able to get Henry back.
Oh, I had not heard that.
Yeah, and so and they said that he's really he's really healthy and coming around. So who's to say what he happened? But he's got a foot injury that's required surgery with screws, and he relies on those feet for a lot of power running. So you kind of got to wonder just whether or not he'll be able to. But they're hoping for it.
Super Bowl championship in the balance. You got to go for it, right?
Yeah, I guess that's what you got to do.
Yeah, good stuff there. The NFL, of course, we got to talk a little bit about the purple and gold, right?
We have to talk about the purple and gold because, I mean, I tell you, on Sunday, there's a lot of things I could be doing, but at noon, I'm going to be watching the Viking-Packer game, and I'm hoping the Vikings, well, what is that one guy says? Why did you pick the Packer? Why did you pick the Vikings? Well, I just don't like the Packers.
Don't like the Packers. That's right. That's a good reason to pick why you pick the Vikes. I'm going to throw an open invitation to you here on the Wrap, because Kyle Sinigi, who is on the fantasy, said he is heading for Sammy's on Sunday to watch the Packers with Michael. So, if you decide that maybe you want to go down, and I'm not a big person for watching football in a crowd. I like to be able to do what I need to do and yell at the TV and swear a couple of times, and no. If that's an invite, I've never turned down an invite. Yeah, so you never know. You might have to go down there and have a root beer or something. Yes. They got 1919 root beer. It's outstanding. But anyway,
there are some other games going on there on Sunday. The Cowboys and the Chiefs. That's going to be a good one.
What is the over under on that? About 71.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be a long game, I think.
It's going to be a dandy. There's going to be a lot of flinging right and left, and then the Colts and the Bills.
Could be interesting.
It could be interesting. Now that's going to be on the same time as the Vikings.
The Bills have not been playing very good football lately.
No, and who knows? What the Colts are going to come up with, because sometimes they play pretty well and they got a good, solid defense, particularly a pretty good defensive line. They can cause some annoyances for sure. So, but those are some of the games that I'm going to kind of keep an eye on.
I want to talk a little bit more about the Vikes from last week.
Okay.
9 catches for Justin Jefferson.
Yes, some of them really fantastic catches.
The touchdown throw to Tyler Conklin from 1 yard out. The word aggressive was used in the same sentence with Kirk Cousins in a positive manner. Kirk Cousins has to continue to play like he did last week. If he does that, the Vikings are in the playoffs.
He was actually, and I mean, I don't know what perfection is for football, but he was really getting close to playing that perfect game. I mean, he doesn't make many mistakes. He knows where he wants to go with the football. He had a receiver that was making some incredible catches, and Cook was running. I mean, and he's got a couple of backs running. He's doing well.
You could feel Viking Nation start to go, oh, here we go again. When San Diego, see, I did it now.
Yeah.
The Los Angeles Chargers took the opening kickoff of the second half and stuck it right up the Vikings' butt and put it into the end zone. And everybody's like, oh boy, here we go. And then the Vikings got the ball and stuffed it into the end zone. Defense came out and got a stop, stuffed it in the end zone, and all of a sudden we're back up by 2 scores. And the Vikings answered the bell. I didn't hear anybody bitching this week about, oh, the Vikings can't win a big game, they can't come back. Thank God, I was sick and tired of listening to it. That's the NFL.
No,
it's just like the NBA. They're going to make a run at you, folks.
And the Chargers are not a bad football team.
They're not a bad football.
And so I thought it was a good win. It was a fun game to watch. And I mean,
I was getting updates on my phone while I was watching Clifford the Big Red Dog.
Attaboy.
That's I know you're not supposed to have your cell phone on in the theater, but I had to. I had to do what I had to do. So I got to make do with you.
How was it?
Clifford the Red Dog was not bad.
Good.
Eli enjoyed it. He laughed. He actually cried, which means it was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was his 7th birthday on Sunday for the boy, for the prince, for the king to be, and he we got to go watch Clifford.
You are so lucky.
We got to the part where the bad guy looks like he's going to get Clifford, going to take him away. And I'm watching the movie, and all of a sudden I can hear, and I'm like, yep, the tears are just rolling. I love the kid. He's so soft-hearted. He's such a he's such a great kid. I can't say enough about him. It's just hilarious.
I can't criticize that. I'd be whining right next to him.
So anyway, it was good stuff. And so what else? Seemed like something else.
Well, there's some college. There's some college
we got
football.
a tie. We got a tie last week in the NFL.
Yeah, Detroit finally pulled out of the one.
Detroit got a little something. You got a kissing your sister half win with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm sure my brother was probably near suicidal. But I think Tomlin is going to lose his job at the end of the season. A tie against. It's just not going to pass muster.
No, I mean, and I don't know why it is. It's been going on for so long in Detroit, and it's, I don't know what it takes for them to turn that program around. They've had some good people, but they just haven't been able to do it.
You don't want to talk about Aaron Rodgers at all. You don't want to get a. Because
I heard he wasn't at practice today.
He's got a bad toe apparently, which I did not know till I got to hockey practice today.
That is no small injury.
Toes can be very difficult to play with.
Yes.
Having said that, apparently our show from last week got watched by somebody who messaged me. You know who you are, I'm sure. And he thought we were a little too hard on Mr. Rodgers. About the fact that we thought he lied.
He did.
Stretched the truth, however you want to say that. He said, he kind of said, I think Aaron Rodgers told the truth. And I said, well, I think he lied. And he says, well, how do you know? And I said, where there's smoke, there's fire. When you start hedging, that means you're lying. It's a human condition that is very tough to beat. Many people can't lie without they got a hedge, or they start hedging their bets. So anyway, Aaron Rodgers is definitely not at 100% for this game. So with that being said, do the Vikings win before we move on to college football?
No, I think the Vikings are going to win a close one. And I mean, when I analyzed and I sat, when I listened to you guys on the radio today, and I thought, now where are you falling in on this? Because I know how good the Packers can be.
Oh yeah.
But I also know how good the Viking defense can be, and
the Packer defense can be very good, and that's why I think it's going to be fairly low scoring. But
it's a 24-21 type deal. But it's I think it's going to be a real good game. And of course, it's like, who's going to make mistakes? Aaron Rodgers on a bad toe could well throw interceptions.
The guy I talked to said that Rodgers has now practiced once since November 1st. Today's the 19th, right? He's practiced once since November 1st because obviously he couldn't practice while he was out with COVID.
Yeah.
And after, he didn't practice because they don't practice on Saturday before a game. He played in the game, and he's only practiced once this week. So who knows?
Who knows?
Never doubt Aaron Rodgers. That's my whatever. Or should I doubt it because he's a liar? Wait. I don't doubt his physical attributes. Wait, maybe I'm going to get myself in more trouble. Never mind. Let's move on to college football.
Let's do that.
Who are we going to talk about?
Well, there's some great games now. There was some great games last week, and by
you want to talk about the Gophers having to kick 3 field goals inside the 15-yard line and losing by 5 points?
We could start right there if you want.
That's tough.
Somebody said it came up. How do you get a guy that's just signed a $30 million contract and fire him? I mean, it's nowhere. Yeah,
that's going beyond. That's going past the. Yeah, I understand disappointment. Hey, the Vikings, the Gophers haven't won at Iowa since 1999. So don't tell me, we should have went in and we should have went into Kinnick Stadium.
No, the thing of it is that actually I thought they played fairly well outside the fact they could do nothing in the red zone. They played pretty good defense, and beating Iowa in Iowa is no small charge.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to have some bacon Sunday morning, though.
Yes, it would have been nice to have Floyd of Rosedale back in Minneapolis where he belongs, but didn't happen that way. We'll have to wait another year. So
well, let's just avoid a trap this weekend, and then what would be a saving grace? Beating Wisconsin might not be bad.
Let's not look past Indiana, though.
No, I'm not.
I have just horrible feeling. I'm getting out my phone because I need to come up with a name here. So, did you watch any of the Louisville Duke game last night? I don't even know if it was on TV.
It was on TV,
okay?
yeah.
Have you heard of Malik Cunningham before?
No, I hadn't, but I heard about him last night, yeah.
Did you see his stat line?
No.
He is only the second quarterback in the history of FBS football, that's the big boys, only the second quarterback ever to pass for 300 yards and rush for 200 yards in the same game.
500-yard man.
He had over 300 yards passing and over 200 yards rushing in the game last night against Duke. Now, I understand Duke's not very good. I don't care. A quarterback to get 200 yards rushing is phenomenal.
And not to mention 300-yard passing isn't a bad day either.
So Malik Cunningham, put that name into your things to remember, a little more name dropping.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was last night. And what else happened? Nothing really happened because the top 7 all won or didn't change spots. My question, did you watch the selection show on Tuesday night at all?
No, I did not.
The committee continues to put Oregon, the Quack Attack, ahead of Ohio State. Now, I understand the first game or second game of the year, whenever it was.
It was the second game because the first game they beat up Minnesota.
That Oregon came into the Horseshoe and beat Ohio State and beat them around pretty good. I get that. Let's fast forward about 6 weeks into the season, and you might recall that Michigan State beat Michigan. Okay? Now, Michigan State lost after that, but Oregon has lost since then, and everybody's got one loss. Yet, the committee, for some reason, keeps putting your Quack Attack ahead of Ohio State, which I don't believe is the right answer, and I think there's a lot of other people out there that don't believe that Oregon is really better than Ohio State. But they continue to put Michigan ahead of Michigan State, and Michigan State beat Michigan. But they both have one loss. Now, how are you telling me that you can argue one way for the top 4, but 6 and 7 you don't?
Well, I'm going to just to give a little shout out for Oregon here. They lost one game to Stanford by one touchdown.
Who's awful?
And so they lost the one game, but I mean it wasn't as big an upset as Oregon going into the Horseshoe and winning that game. That was big. So they're 7-1 with the exception of one touchdown. They would be undefeated right now. Where would you put them then? And so all the rest of these guys have one team too.
If they were undefeated, I'd have them at 2. I agree.
Yeah.
But that loss to Stanford is I'm going to say it this way. I think Michigan State's loss is less damning, is less of a blemish than Oregon's loss to Stanford. It's just the way. Maybe I'm talking with my Big Ten heart. But I don't believe Oregon is one of the top 4 teams.
You got to understand why I wear this Oregon Ducks t-shirt.
You got to explain it to me, of course.
A friend of mine sent it to me, and he's the only friend that sent me a t-shirt, so I thought I'd put it on the show. So, but I do like the Oregon.
We don't pass up free clothing.
No, we don't. But Oregon also has this guy named Thibodeau. And when he's playing, he's probably the most dominant defensive player on the field. And so when they pull him together, and he's been off and on with some dingers, but I'm sure that he'll be playing in this game. They're playing Utah, and what really kind of amazing, out of 7 people, these sports journalists, out of 7 of them, 6 of them pick Utah to win. And they're Utah is 23rd, and Oregon's what, 3 or 4? 3. And so but they're picking Utah, and they're not even kind of calling it an upset. So this is kind of strange how this whole thing's working out. But I understand about your reluctance to acknowledge the select committee because I don't know where they come up with this stuff either.
Yeah, somebody's buying somebody's vote. Somebody's selling. Hey, we'll do this for your school if you vote. Yeah. Anyway, we've got to get a Western school in there. We got to get a Pac-12 school in there. So anyway,
Anyway, Michigan State's at Ohio State.
That ought to be fun.
That ought to be fun. UMass is at Army. That's not going to be fun for UMass.
No.
Army's playing really well right now. Nebraska's at Wisconsin. That might be interesting.
Cheeseheads are going to win by 3 touchdowns.
You think so? Okay.
Wisconsin's playing too good a football right now.
They are playing good
It's not
football.
like what they played early in the season. They're playing a different level of football right now. That's why I'm scared for the Gophers for next Saturday.
The Gophers at Indiana, and then Arkansas at Alabama. And I picked this out because Arkansas is playing some pretty good football right now, and Alabama can be beat.
You said Arkansas at Alabama, though, right?
I did.
Okay, that will
That's
be
an issue. That's an issue.
That's an issue in
Yeah.
that decision. So
And there's some other games down here. Eastern Carolina at Navy. I'm going to watch that because we're going to see a precursor, start getting some idea of what Navy can do on December 11th. And then SDSU at Nevada, Las Vegas. Might be an interesting game, and I'm sure that I'll be able to find that on my ESPN Plus. But that might be a pretty interesting game. SDSU, you know.
I haven't done my college football for Coach's Corner yet, so you got the shakedown on me on that. So we got to talk a little bit about the Gophers in Indiana. You know, Indiana's 2-8, 0-7 in the Big Ten. Supposedly lots of injuries. Supposedly played a very tough Big Ten schedule because I'm sure they've had to play the Michigans and the Penn States and the Ohio States of the world.
What might
trap game because the Gophers are thinking, oh, we were so close last week, and next week we got the axe. I have a bad feeling about this.
Well, you know,
really
and I'll tell you,
feeling.
the reason you should have a bad feeling about it is 2 years ago, Indiana had a really good football team, and most of those guys are back. And they haven't pieced together in terms of injuries and where they want these people to play. But I think Indiana is chock full of talent.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm doing the reverse jinx, unjinx, whatever it is here. But I have a bad feeling that the Gophers could lose this game tomorrow, and they will lose to Wisconsin. If they lose tomorrow, they will lose to Wisconsin next week. And this team will go 0-4 in November.
Yeah.
And that was after the $30 million contract, baby.
No, that would be bad. But they got to get that big engine rolling again, protect those running backs, because it seems to me that with that line, I'm not sure just what you need for a running back these days, but everybody seems to either run well or get hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're saying a Gopher win?
I think the Gophers are going to win, and I think they'll win by at least 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
And it's again, the Gophers have pretty solid defense, and boy, Mafi will be wrapping them up.
Are you ready to talk D2 Division II playoff?
We can.
You ready to talk about your Dogs?
They are. They're going.
The Dogs are going to Texas to face Angelo State.
Angelo State.
Do you know what the nickname for Angelo State is?
No.
I don't either, but it's got to be good. So you talk about the Bulldogs, and I'm going to look up Angelo State because I thought about this earlier in the week, and I did not. Are they like the Tangelos, the Angelo State Tangelos?
Well, they lost it. They beat Northern last week, and Northern didn't want to give it up, and they had some pretty good people playing, but they were able to piece some of this together, and this Imani McNichol, he's just all over the place. I thought I had my stats.
They are the Angelo State Rams. They got Dominic the Ram as their. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but a Bulldog will.
Yeah, Bulldog will rip him apart.
You got to know that for sure.
Yeah, Bulldogs come in as the number 7 seed. Angelo State's the number 2. And in the same bracket, Bemidji State's the 5. They're taking on number 4 Augustana. So those are the 2 Minnesota teams that are in the D2 playoffs. And I'm not holding out much hope for the Dogs. I'd like to think they got a chance. But,
well, Larson is getting better every no.
Healthier?
He started last week, and then they pulled him because he could not go deep. And as soon as they
I think it was senior day. I think
Yeah, I think
Give
that's
him a
right.
chance to go out there, and then, yeah, you know, if his arm would come back around miraculous here, I'm sure he'd get a chance to play. But yeah, I'm not holding much hope. I got more hope for the Beavs against Augustana, and we know that they can put points up.
Oh, we know they can.
So
Yeah.
that could be a fun game. And,
Where's that going to be played?
that is at Augustana, because Bemidji is the 5 and Augustana is the 4.
Okay.
So, and then in D3, of course, you've got the luck of the Irish St. John Johnnies, and I say that. Did you see how they won last week?
Yeah, by a miracle.
Did you see the video?
No, I haven't seen it, but I heard about it.
It was a good play. You get your tight end lined up out on the outside, and he runs about a 3-yard route and just gets inside the end zone and catches the ball right about here, and that's the ball game. They went at 29-28. Well, tied it at 28. They had to kick the extra point with a second left to win 29-28. So St.
I haven't
John's
had a chance to see Bethel, but they must have a pretty good team.
They must have a pretty good team as well. So Bethel and St. John's are the 2 Minnesota teams in the D3 tournament that gets started tomorrow. St. John's gets Lake Forest out of Illinois, and I cannot remember who Bethel plays. Central of Iowa is who they have. I just had to think about it for a second and go to my happy place. So yeah, it would be nice if we got 4 wins tomorrow to keep things going, and the Division I playoffs will get started the following week with some early round games. I'm sure South Dakota State and the North Dakota States of the world will be having byes next weekend. But yeah, it's coming down to the end. It's the end of the regular season next week for most of the Big Ten teams and everybody else, and then you get into the playoffs, and yeah, so some good times coming up. What else do you need to talk about football-wise? Anything?
Well, I'm going to be very busy from 11 to 4:30 on Saturday, but other than that, there's a lot of football games to watch, and it's getting to the tail end of them, and they're all pretty interesting.
Well, I'm going to have my first Saturday that I don't have to go someplace in 7 weeks.
Oh yeah,
I'm thinking I might try to sit down and watch a little football tonight. Maybe.
Get that thumb working so you can catch all the catch a nap.
Catch a nap. Hey, this is an exciting game.
No.
So, did I mention last week the all-conference football players for the Broncos?
No, but do it again. Those are good guys.
I don't think I did, because Moose Lake hadn't lost yet. We did the show on Wednesday.
Okay,
I don't think I did it. Anyway, Alex Larson, Cameron Schultz, and Diego Christensen were all named all-conference.
3 top Broncos.
And Gavin Lovelace, Seth Lynch, and Braden Skifstead were all named honorable mention. For the girls volleyball team, Olivia Thorstensen was named all-conference for the IRC, and Carson Corpy and Gracie Swenson, I had to think for a second, they were named honorable mention for the IRC, so congratulations to all those kids. And of course, last Saturday I got to go down and watch the Section 7A swimming and diving finals for the girls down in Duluth. An exciting day, did some live cut-ins. I even did some races on the air, which I don't think I was supposed to do, but
that's all right.
Who was going to stop me?
Yeah.
They didn't have anyway.
Well, I'm reading the paper that and just projecting that the boys and girls basketball teams are looking up this year.
Yeah, I want to make a couple mentions, throw a couple names, drop a couple names on the girls swimming team. Haven Pallenfeld just short of making it to state, and a young Jillian Bilbin had a pretty nice day despite having a migraine. And Kieran Ford took 11th in diving, her first year ever diving. She takes 11th. I thought did really well. I have to tell this because there's a girl from Grand Rapids, a diver. She broke the old section record by 40 points. So they did 5 dives in the morning, and then they took a little break, and they did 3 more dives, and then they did 3 dives during the finals of the swimming. So the girl walks up to the board, and of course they announce what the dive is. So they get up there and they say she's going to do a front double, 2 twists, 2 somersault, whatever. The difficulty is 2.6. Now that probably doesn't mean a whole bunch if you don't watch swimming, but I go watch the diving parts of the meet, and I have never heard of a girl having a difficulty above 1.7. You just don't see it. As a matter of fact, I think of the 15 other divers that I watched, I don't think anybody else had a dive that was higher than 1.8. She came up and nailed a 2.6, and she got 7 1/2 and 8s. And you're like, everybody in the place is like, So she comes up with the next dive. This one's only difficulty level of 2.2. She got 9s.
Ooh.
9s. 7 of them. 7 9s. And after, that first look, you're like, the second look, everybody was like, what is this girl? Completely amazing. So anyway, this girl, I don't know where she's going to go diving, but she was worth the price of admission just for 3 dives as far as I was concerned, because you don't, how you get the Tiger Woods type kids.
Yeah.
She scored 530 points, and she won by 140 points in the diving competition.
Well, where's she going swimming at?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that information, but it was unbelievable. It was crazy. So anyway, I had to throw a couple names out there for swimming and diving. Yeah, I think you're right. The basketball teams, I think, should be good. I think there's some talent there. They should both be above 500 at the end of the regular season. So girls started practice last Monday. Boys start practice this Monday. And of course, the Bronco girls hockey team, we talked about them a little bit earlier. They got their season started last night. And the Bronco boys hockey team has their first game on Thursday, December 2nd against Stadium Chisholm. A little short on numbers. Some injuries from football that they're still dealing with. The Max Dremels of the world.
There's Grandma there.
There's Grandma. You got to drop the name when you get a good opportunity. Diego Christensen is injured. Carter McBride is injured. Gavin Lovelace is injured, and Noah Shakowski injured as well. So there's 5 kids from the football team that aren't going to be playing with the hockey team probably right away. So only have 26 kids all together. You take those 5 out. Then they had some COVID issues this week, and it was a little bit of a tough first week for the Bronco boys hockey team. So,
well, they're there.
Yeah, so
set up for winter sports.
Did I forget anything Bronco sports wise?
I don't think so.
Yeah, and of course, I don't know if I told you this, but I might have told you this. I got to go to Kenora on Wednesday.
I imagine some hockey.
I'm going up to Kenora to do Muskie hockey.
All right.
A doubleheader.
Oh.
Back-to-back games. Girls followed by the boys. So, those are 60-minute games. Those aren't those wimpy little 51ers that we play over here in the States.
No, I know.
These
they
are
last,
60s.
They last forever.
Anyway, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And the winter season getting started. I redid the schedule today. Hopefully one final time. I know it won't be. I'm hoping it's the last time. But 62 games this winter.
Oh boy.
Hockey, basketball, and boys swimming. 62. That doesn't count playoffs. So could be 70 by the end of the winter.
Keeps your winter going strong.
There's snow. I didn't see it while I was.
Yeah, there will be.
So
Trust me.
anyway, what else we got left to talk about?
Gopher Wrestling.
Hey, Gopher Wrestling gets started tomorrow.
This is no small deal. Oklahoma State comes up. They're 6th in the nation. The Gophers are, 11 or 12.
Yeah, I said 16-2 actually is what I said on the radio this morning. I'm sure it could be difference of the poll, which poll we looked at.
Yeah. But I did watch Oklahoma State wrestle against Nebraska a week or so ago, and they're good. No, it's North Carolina, and they are good. But right off at 125 pounds, Pat McKee. He's rated number 4, and he's going up against number 18, Trevor Mastro Giovanni.
Mastro Giovanni?
Mastro Giovanni.
Wow.
And then 157
he loves
pounds.
filling out a job application.
He does. That takes a while.
Or the ACT test?
Yes. He doesn't have that many dots. At 157, you got Braden Lee for the Gophers.
What's he ranked?
He's ranked number 5.
Okay.
And he's going to go against Wyatt Sheets, who's ranked number 14. And then I tell you what, the duel, because I'll tell you, we got a heavyweight that they're not going to beat. But 174 pounds, we have a kid named Jared Kratdinger. And Kratdinger is 20th, and he is going to go against Dustin Pluff, who's 19. So there's going to be some good tough matches. They're all going to be tough matches. There's no two ways about it.
Except the final one?
The final one's not going to be that tough, and I don't know. the coach of Oklahoma State's a guy named John Smith,
Yeah.
and John Smith, I don't know what he knows about life. I do know what he knows about wrestling, and it is everything. So this guy is just an incredible coach, and four-time national champion and Olympic champion. He's got, one of those things where the whole family came out and we're all Americans and undefeated. So whatever happens, Oklahoma State's going to come up here, and they would love to pull this away from the Gophers at their home meet first. This is a big match for them too.
Yeah, obviously it's one of those things. I think the Gophers are going to get better as the year goes along, as they get some of these young kids going. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting duel. It ought to be fun. I assume that it's not going to be on Big Ten Network.
It is on Big Ten Network.
It is live not on BNT Plus. It's on the Big Ten.
Big Ten Network.
At 7 o'clock tomorrow.
At 7 o'clock tomorrow.
Wow. You know what the bad news of that whole thing is? I just did the math. You've got a blue show to do at 9 o'clock.
Well, don't think I'm going to be coming in and I'll have no voice left. No, we'll record that and we'll get to see the big guy.
So in other words, I'm going to have it on my phone so I can watch Gable, because I'm not going to be DVRing this.
Yes.
Because there's no time to.
I did have a picture of you watching this on the phone, and you and I trying to make it through to the next tune, but.
Yeah, I got a feeling it's probably going to happen that way.
Oh, so. It very well could be. It very well could be.
Yeah, good times.
No, I'm looking forward to this. I think that this is a resurgence of Gopher wrestling. There is no reason for them not to be able to challenge for the Big Ten title, and it's been a long time since they've been able to do that. So, we'll see where it goes, but I'm telling you, Iowa and Penn State and Michigan, on the 28th of January, you're going to see Mason Parrish from the University of Michigan and Gable Steveson go, and that'll be their last.
That's on January 28th.
And that will be the college match of the season. No two ways about that.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll just see.
If Gable decides to let him in and play a little while. We'll see.
But I mean, they've never won more than 4-2, 4-1. They're pretty close, pretty tight wrestling match.
Schuster just stole one, and anyway, the curling that got the Olympic trials on? Yes. We probably should finish the thought here on the curling. See how we've been watching it. I have been watching both the men and the women this week. I've enjoyed the living bejeebers out of it. I've only got to probably watch maybe a couple hours, 2.5, 3 hours of it. But I love just watching and the scheming and whatever. And John Schuster is taking on Corey Dropkin. And Dropkin apparently must know something about John Schuster, that Schuster is afraid of him revealing to the world or something, because Schuster has not curled very well against Dropkin this week. But this is to get to the Olympics, obviously. The winner best of 3 this weekend. And, of course, you mentioned right before we went on the air that Biden is thinking possibly about boycotting the Winter Games as it is in China. And I don't want to have to go through that.
No, in 1980, Jimmy Carter pulled the Olympic team, and I had an opportunity to know several of the guys that were on the Olympic wrestling team. And these guys worked for so hard, for so long. This was the peak of their wrestling career, and it was taken from them. And I saw some extraordinary athletes with their heart broke, and I don't think that that's if that's what it takes to get certain things, like maybe a tennis player back, I don't know, but that is really cruel to your own athletes. It really.
Yeah, I'm concerned about it because. Yeah, there seems to be other ways to get things done.
Yeah.
Other than the Olympics, and I get it to a point, but I don't get it to another point. Like you said, you're messing with people who have you're using your political influence off of the backs of people who have busted their humps for 15, 20, 25 years.
Yes.
It would be very disappointing. I'm not saying that there aren't issues out there those of you that think that there are issues out there, but there's got to be a different way to try to take care of this. At least I hope.
If you could just take a pause in the politics for 2 weeks. This is supposed to be apolitical, and it's not. I mean, I'd be naive to think that it wasn't. But try to do the best you can, keep it apolitical for 14 days, and maybe it'll work.
So now that your football announcing career has gone into hibernation,
yeah,
has your reading come out of hibernation?
It really has, and it's just I'm getting books that I've got a book about George III that's about 700 pages long. Another book on Napoleon that Sue looks at me and she says, "My God, I'll never read that book." But I'm reading a book right now called a lady named Roxanne Ortiz, and she's a historian from New Mexico and kind of a Native American activist and a well-rounded. And she talks about, she argues that we are not a nation of immigrants, and that, and so she makes an awful lot of real honest opinions about where we are with our ethnicity and where we've been historically. And so I got this book 2 days ago, and Sue had to tell me to turn the light off last night so I could go to sleep. So, but I can feel, and there's a couple of other books, the indigenous history of the American people, and so this is another one that'll. I think they're kind of a combo between the two of them. No, I've got 5 really good books that if I can concentrate on some reading, I'll be all right.
And I know what you've been listening to, so I won't even ask that, because you've got to put 28 or to 30 songs together each week for a blues show. So I know you're listening to plenty of the blues on Spotify.
Oh, I was listening to all kinds of them today, so we can have a playlist next week. So
I made you a new commercial this week.
I heard it today.
You heard it? Okay.
Yeah, it was good.
Had to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, no. And Sue heard it, and she said, "That's a good commercial." She is a good commercial. Yeah. Just if you're listening, 9 to 11 on Saturday, a little something different on the radio. That's the blues, and so we play a fairly high energy blues, I hope, but it's the blues.
And if you're out of listening area in International Falls, and you obviously get this off of Facebook or YouTube, and you're watching this, you can obviously go to my Facebook page. I post the show there every week. Send me a message. I'll send you an hour or so of the blues, and you can listen to what George does every week, and we have a little fun. And some weeks we have to record it because Tim's watching college hockey.
Kind of the way it is.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see if he puts a holiday show together. I've been waiting for a Christmassy blues show.
Oh, that's all. It's well on the way. And in fact, we're going to start it as a holiday blues season this weekend.
Oh,
and there'll be a couple of cuts on there.
So you'll get my beak wet a little bit.
Yes.
To what's coming up for the holiday show coming up. Yeah. Are we going to play it on Christmas night? Is that the plan? We're going to record a show that week and play it on the 25th on that Saturday
I
night?
plan on putting a 28-song Christmas blues list and to play on Christmas night.
We're going to give you New Year's Day off because the Wild play the blues in the outdoor game at Target Field, and we're going to have that one on the radio station. So we're going to give you New Year's Day off.
Yeah, maybe we should do something for New Year's Eve then. Anyway.
Oh, see, he doesn't want to give up that week. He wants to play those blues. He wants to play those blues.
I do.
That's the way it works. Holy smokes, George! I'm looking up at the clock.
I know.
We're plus an hour, folks. We got to go. Yeah. You've wasted enough time in your life on us. Have a great time.
Thanks, Darcy.
We are taking next week off, so don't be looking for the show, Betsy. Mom, don't look for it next week. We're not going to have a show because it's Thanksgiving and everything else going on, but we'll be back the following week, and we'll get you ready in December. Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.